Hi guys, it's Davorka again, and since I just covered in my previous video the difficult personality, I decided to actually give you an example from my own personal life and from something that happened to me at my previous job, actually my last job, my last role as a counselor. I was a counselor for newcomers in Canada, and this was the role that I actually really wanted to have and to take, and I was in contact with this company for a certain number of months, and I really tried to get into this company for this role because I was really interested into that, and it sounds amazing, and it was everything in this role was just perfect for me, from helping people, working with people all the time, and just counseling people, giving people helpful advices, although helpful information, yeah, of course, but also helpful advices, because I was coming from the same background as many of those people did. I was a newcomer at one point in this country also, so just felt perfect. And of course, after some, well, 6, 7 months, I got the opportunity to work in this role. I was really lucky. Now I know I manifested it. And I got the 1 year contract. And up to this point, everybody else who got the contract, it was for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. But when I came on board, they decided to not play with months, but with a year. So I was like, yay! It was great for me. And the paycheck was good and everything, and the hours were good. I was working Monday till Friday, and it was just perfect. It was morning shift, so I could get my kid to daycare and then after that being at home. So it in my head everything was perfect, and I was so excited and so happy about this role. And I started working there, and of course, as with any new beginning, in the beginning it's hell, it's difficult. There are so many new information you need to understand and to learn, and of course everything that is new is difficult at the point, at the starting point, until you get into the automatic a part of doing everything, right? But first you need to learn it. So my first boss, she was really nice, but also really demanding in the way that she wanted me to comprehend and be master of everything faster than it was possible. So I did everything, I did the best that I could with the knowledge that I had and with the guidance that I had at that point. And she was, she was that kind of personality, and I understood that quite soon, and we started getting along really fast. And when I understand what I need to do, I just covered everything as soon as possible, so she would breathe a little bit easier, and also I would breathe a little bit easier. So one thing I didn't know at that point is that she was going for another job, and she was applying for another role in the same company, and nobody knew that, of course. But also, one thing I knew is that 2 months after I started working there, my coworker, who was having the same role as I am, so the other counselor, is going on her maternity, which was great. I wish her all the best. So somebody else had to come in and replace her. So, in that 2 months, I really had to step up my game and really be really comfortable with my job, because I don't know who's going to come to replace her, and how welcoming that person is going to be to help me, or maybe I'm going to be in the situation where I have to help that person. Who knows? So when the time came for my coworker to go on her maternity, we got the information that my boss is also going for another role, which meant that from all people there, I was the only one from the, let's say, old crew staying there in that position. Although I was new, I was really new still in everything, and they said, okay, they already have somebody picked up for to change my coworker, and they're sending a new boss also. So I didn't know anybody. The person who who came to replace my coworker was a lady that worked for the company for certain number of years, but she was working in another role and she needed a change, so she applied for the counselor role and she liked it and she wanted to have it for permanent, right? Not just temporary. So until something permanent came, she was working as a temporary, and if there is nothing as a temporary, she would go back to her old role, which she didn't want anymore. So she was really interested and excited and waiting for the to have the permanent role. So in a way, it felt to me, and now especially from this point of view, I can see how probably because everything came so easy to me and I just got that role from just it felt like it landed on my lap and I got the 1 year right away. And it felt like she was seeing me as somebody that is her, I don't know how her competitor, I guess, something like that. It felt like that. So from the day one, she did not like me. I didn't know who she was because I was new in the company, and everybody else in that branch knew her from before. Of course, she was working for the company for a longer period of time. So when she came, just to take certain things and certain information from my coworker, because before my coworker stopped working there and went on her maternity, she didn't even introduce herself to me. She was actually quite offstandish, and she saw me there, and I saw this lady, and I was like, "Is she a client? Who is she?" But no, she just really turned her back to me and just talked to everybody else and just ignored me completely. And I was like, okay, later on I understood that she was the one who's going to be replaced, and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, should I be upset or worried? And everybody was like, no, she's nice, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, I hope she is, because she didn't even introduce herself, and we are supposed to work for next 10 months together. And I was like, okay, maybe it was just not her day. So from the day one, when she did come, she was so cold. She was completely cold to me, towards me. And I did try to connect with her. I tried to, approach her and being really friendly, but you can feel that guard of the person that just like, that I'm not letting you in. So I felt that wall from the day one. And of course, a new boss came, and I was actually a little bit comprehensive about the boss. I was just, being careful, because a new boss is boss is boss. You have to be careful with the boss, right? And not being too needy, and you want to be self-sufficient. That's the best worker, and I did my best to do that. But somehow, I guess his personality and my personality just clicked. So from quite soon we were on the same level. Whenever I asked something, if he was saying no, I would understand. I would not make a big fuss about it, and we were just communicating perfectly and effortlessly. It was such a beautiful communication between the two of us. And I can see from this perspective that was seen from other people. And of course, my boss, the second one, was also somebody who worked for the company for a longer period of time, and also somebody who changed the position to the one that he got that time. So of course, everybody knew him from before. Some disliked him, some liked him, but some were like iffy about him. And for me, I had a clean slate. So for me, everything was okay. I was okay with everybody. And as the time progressed, and we worked more closely together, I did my best just to really be professional and be nice enough. But this coworker of mine, she was taking more and more right about doing some like showing certain assumptions that were not her place to even show, or even asking certain questions that were not her place to ask at all. And I just disregarded everything. I was just like, okay, it's going to happen, it's okay. And of course I was annoyed. How could you not be annoyed about, because from my point of view that was unprofessional, like somebody is trying to stick a knife in your back. So at one point I actually asked her to go, and have a private word with me. And I was like, okay, so what's your problem with me? If you have any problems with me, if you don't like something that I do, just come and tell me. Like, we can figure it out, because we are a team here and we are supposed to work together. And if there is this conflict that I don't know why is it there or what's about, it's going to be seen with other people around us, and especially with clients, and it doesn't make sense to work in that kind of environment. And she was like, yes, of course, you're right, yeah, okay. And at one point it was all really nice and ran really smoothly until then it came to certain situations where the wall was there again. And I was like, okay, we're making some progress. And then at one point, the wall is there again. And I'm like, oh my God, is it ever easier working with you? Okay, like, but at all this time, I had one of, other friends, co-workers, that we became really good friends later on. And I told her like what was happening, because of course, you're a human, you are not supposed to hold anything inside of you. And in my case, the personality that I am, when I talk to other people, I just take everything out of myself and I cleanse myself. So this is something that is therapeutic for me. So she was listening to that and she was like, yeah, okay, blah blah blah. But after a certain period of time, the same thing happened to start happening towards her. Also the same. This lady was treating her the same. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe this is just her personality. Like, so quite early, actually, I knew that I have to set up certain boundaries, because like, I can disregard a lot of shit, but there are certain boundaries you're not supposed to cross. So when she was really close to certain boundaries, I was like, okay. So I was showing that, do not mess with me and do not go there. And she understood that, and she would withdraw there then. But throughout those 10 months, and thank God at that point, that was the COVID time, so we started working from home. um, like, maybe 2 months after we started working together, I found out that I was pregnant. And it all played perfectly, because I was, my pregnancy was supposed to end by the time my contract ends. So I'm just going to fulfill my word of doing the contract by the till the end. And to be honest, at that point I already knew that um, after this 1 year is done, probably they're going to look for somebody else to take over my role, because this lady that I was replacing was not coming back to work. She was really sick. So I was like, you know what, this lady, that difficult lady, I was like, she would be perfect for that role, right? And she wants that role. And to be honest, I liked it. I love that role. But after a year, I'm the person that needs changes. So I towards the end I didn't felt challenged enough, so I needed a change for something else. So I knew that I didn't want to have that role anymore, and I knew that I wanted something else. So I was completely okay, with not working in the same role anymore after my maternity is done. So, but I don't think that she understood that. I think she saw me as competition, so that's where she came from. But although I tried my best to connect with her, I tried my best to, make her a friend of mine. I understood quite quickly that you cannot force anybody into a friendship. You really can't. And if that person is not interested being your friend, and it's just not open to see you as somebody who is um, well-minded and who wants to be a friend of that person, you're not going anywhere, because it's like you're hitting the closed doors. And and windows. Everything is closed. It's just not open for you. So that's one of the lessons that I learned. But at the end of everything, I was actually quite satisfied with myself and surprised at myself because I behaved really good. Whenever I made a mistake, I would say sorry, not just to one person, to everybody. So I was always honest, and I'm so proud of being an honest person because that's not something that most people have. Most people are too afraid to be honest, and most people lie and act like somebody they aren't. And for me, I was myself all the time. So there was so many lessons that I learned from that relationship and that experience. And at this point, although at certain points in that it was still happening, I felt like it was toxic. Really, it felt toxic because you can feel that meanness from that other person, which actually starts from her fear probably. And I just, at this point when I see it back, I'm really grateful for her and for all of that experience, because it taught me something. It taught me a lot of things about myself. It taught me a lot of things about other people, and I was so ready for the next step. At that point, my next step was having my second child and becoming a mom again, which I really love, and this is a huge part of me. And but I don't think about that experience as something bad and something that don't want, that I'm sad of living through. I don't think about this lady as somebody who is bad. To be honest, I see a great potential in her. She's a great person, she's a great mother, and she has so much potential that I think that basically her fear of a lot of things, there is not just one thing, but a lot of things that happened to her alive, are actually holding her back. And she has such a great potential to be much more than she is right now, and that she's allowing herself. And I even tried to tell her that at one point, but of course, as it came from me, she saw it as something really rude and really standoffish. And she saw it as I wanted to get rid of her. And I was like, okay, if this is what you read from that, then this says all about it. So basically, guys, I believe everybody has similar situation in your life like that, even probably worse. And this is not the only situation, this is just the most recent situation in my personal life what happened. But all is good, all is good. And every relationship like that just helps you move further and learn something. Because what my relationship with this lady taught me more is to have more of patience, and to not react on every silly stupid thing that was said to me. Or as I mentioned, she had certain situations where she assumed something that was completely off, and she had certain situations that she was just asking questions that were not her place to ask at all. But I learned quite soon that by me establishing boundaries and showing her that she's about to cross them, that played really well in that relationship. So a lot of things really worked out for me in that, and there were much and many value aside of me learning new skills and really developing and growing as a professional in that field. But if you ask me, am I grateful for have that experience in my life and being forced to go through that? Yes, I am. Yeah, I am for sure. Would I do it again? No, just because of one thing. This is the lesson that I already learned. I want something new. So if it's going to be difficult, I welcome it, because as Tony said, the more contrast we have, that means we're going to learn something new and something more. So whatever comes my way, I'm ready for that, and I'm not scared. I was scared at one point in my life, and I was really closing myself, but now I'm not scared anymore because I know I'm better than I thought I was even before. So even the knowledge about myself, my personality, and where my limits are extended. And so I grew as a person, and I see that I'm capable for much more than I gave myself credit before. So everything happens for a reason. There is a lesson in everything. So think about it. As said in previous video, um, go through your own experiences with somebody that you know from before that was difficult for you, and look at it from this perspective. What did it taught you, and what are good things that you're going to take from that lesson, and what are the things that didn't work for you that you're going to just disregard in your future life and future relationships. So guys, I hope that this was helpful and that you understood the point. If you have any comments, of course, put them down below. And without further ado, please hit like, subscribe, and see you on my next video. Bye bye.